Hi, folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
Saturday morning, I'm Benjamin. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning to you. I guess it's working.
It seems to be working.
Now, yeah, we had some issues.
Thank goodness.
So now we're just turning buttons.
Thank goodness we had issues.
I'm telling you. But it seems to be working now.
What else is life for?
It's doing what it did earlier, so that means it's fine.
But we've always done it this way.
I'm going to whoop it, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoop some
There's gonna be
children.
some whoops happening.
Get some whoops happening here. But anyway, all right, let's do it.
Speaking of whoops.
Hey, you know what we discussed?
What's that?
Yeah, in the we talked about movie peeves.
Movie top
Pet
pet peeves. Yes.
And you had talked about something, and it got me to remember about what this topic would be. But
That's true.
I don't remember what it was you said exactly, but after we cut out, I said, you just reminded me of a great topic. Because maybe you'd mentioned this one long shot scene or something.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, oh, wait, what are the best long shot, one shot scenes?
Oners, they call it.
Oners. And it's such a great one. And I had a top 5 that off my head I knew. Then I looked for online.
Yeah.
I did not. There's maybe one that I would probably put honorable mention, but the rest of them I'm like, I remember that, but my 5 are better. I never found a better 5. What about you? How'd you research this?
It's interesting because honestly, I'm really happy that that we did this topic because I found a few web pages while I was looking for this.
Oh, did you?
While I was fleshing out my top 5.
Did you now?
Some people who love Oners as much as I do and who appreciate it as much as I do. So I bookmarked a couple of websites to go back to. Like these are
did you now?
Because I found a whole huge list of movies of people who appreciate this art form and this style. And I was like, wow, these people are more nerds about it than I am. And so now I've got some new movies, like indie movies and stuff that I never would have seen. Probably.
Did you watch more movies for this?
No. I didn't watch more movies.
Oh, I was about to be impressed.
No, the dude, the guys who I found, or the pages, I don't know if they were guys, but the pages I found were, they had some YouTube clips embedded in some of them. Because if it was an older movie and if it was available on YouTube, they found it and then they posted it and said, these are my top Oners and this is why, kind of thing.
Okay.
And so I'm very excited about this. And so 2 of mine, maybe just 1, honestly, is from another list or from one of those websites.
Okay.
The rest of them I knew, as I just sit and thought about it, I was like, oh gosh, yes, that one. And truthfully, it's just an art form that I adore in any format, and I've never, even as I've been watching anything, I've never thought to myself, that is the best Oner I've ever seen in my life. Like I've never
thought so either. I just said scene.
Yeah, I mean, I always notice it. I typically my eye will always catch it when the camera hasn't cut, and it's something that I always appreciate. And so it's in TV, it's in film, it's in every media art form.
True.
And I think coming up as theater actors like you and I are, we appreciate the difficulty of getting it in one take and getting it right in front of a live studio audience, and how much of a difference that makes when you have the Big Bang Theory on a laugh track versus a great classic television show that had genuine laughs happening. Even if they had an applause sign or a laugh sign at the top, fine, it was still genuine. Like you can tell when they're filming these great, like Seinfeld or something out that's a classic show that doesn't have a laugh track per se.
It's hard to do, and it goes underappreciated in a lot of movies because people don't realize they just did that in one take.
Exactly.
That was harder than what it looked like.
Exactly. And people don't know why they like it. And so most people who aren't versed in it don't understand. Like, I really like
They don't realize
that
what
movie.
they're saying.
And you say, well, what did you like about it? And they can't tell you. And that's why it goes unnoticed, because producers who only care about money, they're like, well, what did you like about it? They want a concrete answer they can point to. And you can point to a laugh track, and people like laugh tracks. And so they put stupid laugh tracks on them because producers make them do that.
My top 2 are ones that I did not realize at first were one shot scenes.
Ooh, that's very exciting. No,
I was so entertained, I didn't realize what I was watching.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty sure that
that's why they're number 1 and 2.
Our crossover is probably going to be an absolute fat 0, is my guess.
Okay, well, I got to go 1.
Really?
But
oh shoot!
But
no, it will be 1.
Too late! I got
Dang it! You did.
Okay, so I'm not going to mention honorable mentions, even though I doubt it's on yours.
I'm pretty sure I'm calling your number 1 right now.
Okay.
Or at least in your top 3. I have one of them.
I'll just say that number 5 is one you do not have. I'd be shocked if you've seen it.
Please.
Old Boy.
Old Boy.
Old Boy. It's a Japanese film.
No, I don't know about Old Boy.
It was one whole. Anyone who's seen this one knows what I'm going to talk about.
Southern.
He attacks people with a hatchet, a little axe.
Okay.
And it's one whole scene.
So far.
And it's a real. I mean, it's like biting, fighting, hacking. I mean, it's not any fancy karate arts. It's just him hacking through a bunch of people in a hallway.
That sounds horrible.
And yeah, it probably is. But I remember we watched and we were like, no way! One scene! This is great! Because we'd heard about it and we were just so excited. And is it the best movie in the world? Maybe not, especially if people don't like to read subtitles. But it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And I knew it had to be on my list because that was just one that I went nuts over.
You say stuff like that.
When you hack people to pieces with an axe, you're going to get my top 5.
First thing I think of when you say that is Shaolin Soccer. Have you seen that before?
Shaolin Soccer's good.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie. It's so fun. And then there's some pretty big long shots in that. The big fight scenes, like those people know their stuff.
Yep.
Like those kung fu masters and stuff.
Yes, they do.
Lots of long takes on those. And
my favorite one is his second one, Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh, Kung Fu Hustle is the best.
Kung Fu Hustle. I just recently rewatched that.
That's what I'm thinking of.
I
wasn't thinking of Shaolin Soccer. I was thinking of Kung Fu Hustle because there's an axe wielding.
Yes, that's it. The axe wielding gang.
Yeah, I missed.
But see, at the very beginning, the kids kick the soccer ball to him. He goes, "No more soccer."
No more soccer.
Because of Shaolin, and I was like, "That's great."
Shaolin is brilliant because It's great, but also Kung Fu Hustle is probably my favorite of that style.
It's an amazing. I just watched it again.
So good.
It's a masterpiece.
How the villains just build and build and build and build and build all the way to the end, and everybody, like the axe gang is the badasses at the beginning. No, who's the beginning? Like the opening shot, it's a long oneer of a bad guy.
It's the axe gang,
and then he gets somebody at the very beginning gets his butt beat by the
big boss, then the assassins,
and then
the insane assassin, the guy they break out of the asylum.
It just keeps getting worse and worse,
and they get heavier and heavier. But oh my goodness,
what a genius movie that is.
If you watch that and you can't appreciate it, you may as well just give up on movies.
Just quit.
Just quit.
Now. Just go on to Sunday morning Samoflange because we're not. you don't want to listen to
this. Skip a day. Yeah, because it ain't worth it.
Well, that's a good one, and I bet there's some good Oners in that, and that's what I was just about to say.
But Old Boy is more, I would say, grounded in reality.
Okay,
clearly. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, if you're talking, Matt, would you like better, Old Boy or Kung Fu Hustle? I mean, get out of here. Kung Fu Hustle is the best. It's probably one of the best movies ever.
It really is. It's terrific.
I'm not even making that up. I really, watching it again, I'm just shocked. It holds.
It totally does.
Has a few early CGI in it, but that's okay. I forgive it because
it's fine.
Because it's supposed to be cartoony at times.
It's supposed to be silly,
and it adds to its charm.
It does,
but it's very sentimental.
It is.
Especially,
it's a great story.
I forgot about the ending when he's sitting in front of the lollipop shop, and then the camera does a complete 360, and when it passes her, she turns into a little girl. Yeah. He turns into a little boy. They hold hands and go into the candy shop together. I was like, I totally forgot that. I was like, I'm going to cry. Yeah. This is great.
It's a lovely story.
It's a fantastic story.
So people tune in to hear about top 5 Oners, and they're like, what is that? Or what are we going to title this episode, do you think?
I don't know. Oners. We'll say Oners.
Oners, just so we can have people say the Oners.
Yeah, the Oners.
The Oners.
I'll take the Oners for 500, Alex.
What is the Oners? What was that? That Thing You Do by Tom Hanks. That's what I was thinking of. Because we were the Wonders. It's the Oners.
Yeah.
So anyway,
all right, number 5.
Another great film. And so now they're getting stuff about Kung Fu Hustle, and like, you want to give you my Ahsoka breakdown right now? It's because it's the worst, best piece of junk. It's like, I'll say this about Ahsoka right now. You can put this in the description. You can say this is the top 5 Oneders in the title, and then in the
Ahsoka sucks.
Just put an Ahsoka. Put an Ahsoka mentioned as well,
or
something in there, just because it's the time. But basically, Ahsoka is the best made children's show I think I've ever seen, and I'm going to leave it right there.
Okay, there you go.
It's the best children's show I've ever seen.
There you go. For children.
Children, like
got it.
Under 12.
Gotcha. How smart the writing is. Good. Okay. Number 5. What's number 5?
Number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5 is one of the ones that I just found yesterday because I was thinking about this podcast. And the reason it's number 5 is for 2 reasons. Is because A, it's from a movie that is, like you were just talking about, very, very violent. Like Kung Fu Hustle is violent, but it's in a silly violent sort of way. But the hacking through people with an axe doesn't sound like my cup of tea. And honestly, this movie isn't my cup of tea either. But I love Charlize Theron. And I was so impressed when I found out watching this that she did all of this action herself and no stunt doubles. And there's a huge 10-minute sequence in the movie called Atomic Blonde from about 2017.
Oh my goodness!
And it takes place, I think, in Germany, and she's some kind of spy. I haven't seen it yet. I have to watch it, but it seems to be incredibly violent and brutal. But there's a giant 10-minute long fight scene in Atomic Blonde where she is protecting some guy that, what are you laughing at?
No, I'm looking at 3 of my scenes are violent. Oh. So Violent Oners is what the top 5 is right now.
Is what we might have to rename it to, but Charlize Theron is an unbelievable actress. I've always loved her and everything I've seen her do, but to watch her be this action hero in this brutally gory, 10-minute long, 2 guys come to kill her and the other guy she's protecting, and then she gets through those 2 guys, and then she has to kill 2 more, and then she has to kill 2 more, and it's the scene never stops. They use the clever camera tricks where it kind of fades to black just long enough to where you can tell that they had enough time to set up the scene. So it wasn't absolutely one take, So they had the option to mess up, or they had we're going to reset from here, kind of thing.
Right.
A lot of movies did that. Birdman, for instance, is one of the ones that is cited on all of these websites as one of the best oneers. And I saw it.
It's fine.
I liked Birdman.
Yeah, it's fine.
I appreciated it for what it was. I've never watched it again. I've seen it once.
Me too. I'm good.
And the whole time I was watching it, there's such clear moments where the camera pans over
behind someone's back enough to make a switch.
Yeah, and they make a switch, right? Or they do something that's giving them just enough time, or it gives them an
transition
if somebody
in between.
Messes up.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the reason that Birdman wouldn't make my list, because it was not obvious. It's a brilliant film. I'm not taking any credit away from what it is.
Was it called 1917, the war movie? I saw that one too.
Yes, that one's on the top 5 of everybody's too.
Yeah,
exactly.
But they have parts where they switch too. And not to say, I'm impressed.
Still incredible.
But I'll watch it once and I'm good.
And I'm done. But I think the illusion is a little less convincing when you have those clear edit moments that you can do, or the clear reset moments.
Well, that's just an art style. That's not a oneer. That's just a one whole art style for the entire movie.
I think you're right. You're probably right. And so
that's my definition. It's always by definition.
Sure. I mean, it's your show, so you can call it whatever the hell you want. But Atomic Blonde, it's basically, so there are only 3 or 4 cut to black, go into this dark hallway where to come outside moments.
Exactly.
And so. So it's a 10-minute fight scene, brutal fighting. No dialogue spoken aside from, just the typical grunting and fighting sort of take this kind of thing. But it's just so incredible. And so the shots that they do have are only broken up 3 or 4 times, and it's 3 or 4 minutes solid of action and they're falling downstairs and breaking arms, and she's just ripping people apart. It's a true action star vibe. I have no idea how they did it. I felt either so bad for the stuntmen or so impressed by the stuntmen.
Right.
I didn't know which. I couldn't tell which one it was. Either the sound and the editing was so good that those guys really hurt themselves, or they are still in crutches and in the hospital somewhere, because it was unbelievable. So Atomic Blonde is definitely on my new number 5, and that's the only one that I stole from another list, and I'm so glad that I found it.
My number 4 happens to be John Wick 4. Oddly enough, I didn't realize that till right now. Have you seen this?
I have not.
It's in this scene they used a drone, you can tell, and they pan away, and suddenly it's almost like you're looking at video games. He's going from room to room shooting people, and some of the guns have they're flame bullets that catch you on flame too.
So it's like playing Doom some extra something?
Yeah, but it looks like it's a real life action thing, and it took a lot of choreography to get done. And then the drone comes back down and follows them for a little bit longer until they switch cut scenes.
Okay.
But they made it one big scene, just as this big action shooting scene, because they wanted to. And here's the purpose: they wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of action scenes before. They said, okay, let's do this. Is more gunfight choreography. So let's make it. How do we make it special and a challenge to film?
That is cool.
And I can appreciate it for the shot for what it was meant for something. And they're not going to do that again. Probably there's not going to be a one-er scene for John Wick. He's usually some cuts here and there, some action scenes. But they said for this one time, we're going to do something different now. And that's what John Wick movies are. They're each supposed to feel a little bit different.
Right.
And so they did a great job with this, even though 3 is my favorite. But they did a great job with this one, too. And bravo for them for taking a new angle. But that was a one shot that I realized. Cool. And I was punching my wife's arm going, oh, one shot, baby.
And when your eye catches it and you see what's happening, it's so every second
you get excited about
it. Yeah. Like you just can't wait for it to end, but you don't want it to end at the same time.
No, I don't.
No,
anyway,
that's super fun.
Another violent one. What's your number 4?
Another violent one, which is Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil.
Oh, I should have known about this one. I forgot about this one.
You've heard
that's
about
a good scene in the
hall.
Yeah, watch it.
Scene,
the hallway fight scene's excellent.
It made a lot of waves, and I've never forgotten it. And it was one of the first ones that I think caught enough traction that a big mass of people knew suddenly what a one-er was.
I think it's what got people locked into that show.
I agree.
I think that was the one that caught people's attention.
It's about the 3rd episode in or something. Yeah. I haven't watched Daredevil in quite
a long time.
Remember,
he didn't have his costume yet. And
he didn't have anything. No,
it's plotting through.
It was just his Spider-Man fake, into the wrestling ring.
But they decided to give him a little action to make it memorable.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was terrific. And it's in season 1, and so it's right away. And it just, it stood out so well. And it wasn't just because it was a long shot. Like, it was just it was a good scene from start to finish. And then the way they ended it with him rescuing the little girl at the end, which was the whole point of busting up in there.
Right.
And just the music was good, the lighting was good, the whole shot, everything that went into that shot was delicious. And the thing is that got so much attention in season 1 that they did it again, I think, in season 3, and it didn't play nearly as well because it did a lot more of what Birdman did.
Right.
How it had a lot of cutaways, and it's still quote unquote one shot, but it wasn't. It wasn't even close to the level of complexity or definite. They didn't cut away. Authenticity.
That the first scene. I agree with that.
I agree. So that first hallway fight in Daredevil that I think most people are probably going to be hearing this and like, oh yeah,
everyone's going to know the moment you say
Daredevil. A lot of
Daredevil.
national traction all of a sudden. So it was cool.
My number 3 is nonviolent. We're going to take a break now.
Finally, mine is too. Perfect.
And this is the crossover. The opening scene of one of my favorite movies ever.
Here it comes.
Baby Driver.
Yes, that's my number.
No, is it?
My number.
That's it.
2.
That's it. That's it. Okay.
You win.
I'll be honest.
You might win. I should have gone 2.
1, 2, and 3 could have been switched out on anywhere. Really? To be honest, I had a really hard time.
I had Baby Driver as your number 1. That's what I would have thought.
Okay, and Baby Driver's excellent, but that scene where it's where he's getting the coffee,
opening credits
is so
instantly
good,
hooked. Instantly
because the music is timed to the shot.
Yeah,
because there's something written on the tree that says the line.
Yes.
Then he jumps into the trumpet. And the painting of the trumpet just in time. I mean, I know they listened to the soundtrack while filming it, but he did a music video. He did music. Edgar Wright did music videos.
Yes, you did. I remember.
So he's used to doing the shot. But what an incredible, fun opening scene.
Yeah.
We don't need another one like that. We just need to introduce our characters.
Yes,
it's during the credits.
Exactly. During the opening credits, which most people
smart.
dismiss. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's so genius. And honestly, I remember the first time that I even mentioned that movie to you, perhaps, was I was at the barber shop getting my hair cut. And they have little TVs on in all the little stalls, And I usually, when I'm talking to the girl who cuts my hair, I say, can we turn this off or down?
Yeah.
And she hates it too. So she'll happily just turn it off or whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe she just says that so I'll tip her more. I don't know. But who cares? The point is that we usually turn it off. But the thing is that she had gone to answer the phone and we hadn't started the haircut yet. And the TV was on mute.
Yeah.
Or I had reached up and muted it. But then that opening scene from Baby Driver came on. And I was just enthralled. Like, I wasn't there. I was there to get my hair cut, It was off, and we had a history of turning it off and not paying attention to the TV because I like to chat with her whenever we're doing that, getting my hair cut. And it was just like, what is this? How? This is incredible. And even on mute.
It's so good.
Was like the music is about, that movie is about the music and the soundtrack and the story that it tells. Even without any music, it was just so brilliant and immediately caught my attention. And I was like, how do I not know what this is? And I remember I wrote it down as I saw the title come up. And I was like, what is this movie? And I wrote it down and I put it away and finished my haircut. And I think that was the first day you and I ever talked about it. And you were like, oh my God, yes. Yeah. Let me tell you about this movie. How have you not seen it yet?
Great. The movie's incredible. I
missed it. Yeah. So
I'm also glad you missed that so I could get the one crossover between us because I would have gone 0.
Yeah.
I'd have had to go 0. I couldn't have gone 2.
I should have done.
So we got your number 2, but we didn't get your number 3.
No.
I'm glad we have a nonviolent one. So you have a second. And by the way, my number 2 happens to be nonviolent too. If you get this one right, we're both wrong.
I have a second nonviolent one, which I don't know if you've even seen this movie, but it's La La Land with...
No, I have not seen this one.
Genius musical film.
Right. You really enjoyed it when you saw it.
It is in my top 5 to 10 all-time wonderful movies. I love it. And I think the thing that might put some people off is the opening number, because it is technically a musical. It's Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. And they're a dynamic pair in anything they do, but the opening song is like that those let me start over. Those directors, first of all, who made the movie together, like they and that director, they have oneers throughout the movie. So it starts with an opening oneer of a giant freeway musical number in LA. And so the point is about actors who move to Los Angeles and they're going to fulfill their dreams of being Hollywood stars, right? Like everybody thinks they're going to do. And when in reality, 99.9% of everybody who moves to LA just gets burned out or torn apart by the industry, and you get beat up. And this is the real story. This is a story about what happens when stuff like that goes on. And I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is that lots of long shots. This director is a fan of long shots. So I put La La Land this high on my list because the movie is filled with them. So I couldn't just choose one. And I would recommend the movie to you, but also just get past the opening number, because the opening number is a bit bubbly and like happy-go-lucky.
It doesn't define the movie.
It was a bad choice, I think, to open the movie with. Like, it is what it is because it's the dream, it's the fantasy. It's moving to La La Land and being a super movie star.
Yeah.
It's silly and corny and hokey and it's dumb. And it can put people off because I'm not going to watch
Gives people a wrong impression of what the movie's about.
Yes, it does. And the rest of the movie doesn't
follow that
tone. No. Right. But there are several good oneers in that movie that just keeps going, and you're like, how did they do? And it's because Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone put in the work. They learned the dances. They learned to backwards and forwards. There's a great scene where they do a little tap dance together at the top of the hill, at the famous drive-up hill in LA.
Yeah.
And then the story goes is that they would finish the tap dance, boom, 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 and they were trying to get the light right. And so the tap dance or the dance would end with them at the bottom of the hill, or the scene would end, and then they would say cut, because remember, it's a long shot. And so, but then the lighting was still just right, and so they would run from the bottom of the hill all the way back up to the top and then start again.
Wow.
So you know how Jason Statham is an incredible kung fu fighter, right? So he can do just about anything he wants. He can fight sharks. He can do anything, and that's where I was leading into, is that a lot of his shots, like the Transporter Part 1. Why are we giggling?
You're so bad. All right, keep going.
So, Transporter Part 1.
Okay, so what happened is
genius film where Jason Statham gets to do jump kicks in the spin house, and he doesn't ever cut away, and he kicks everybody's butt in one long shot, and it's great.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened with the podcast. Something happened, so go again. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I have an alternate. Not honorable mention number 1 that I want.
No. Are you done with?
It's important that I talk about this now.
Okay.
Because I have an alternate number 1, which is Saturday Morning Samoflange, because we always do this in one take and we don't rehearse for it, and we are the ultimate oneer, if I do say so myself. Except for the episode where we talk about oneers, because for some reason we had technical difficulties and we had to cut it.
I did a second take. How odd is that?
What are the odds?
So
never tell me the odds.
It's never tell me the odds.
Good
it stopped
grief.
about when you were saying, I'll paraphrase here. They had been doing it all day because they were getting the magic shot, the sunset shot.
Yes.
And then what happened was that you said right as they just finished a long take.
They finished a long take and it ends at the bottom of the hill. So they had run up all the way to the top of the hill. And the guys who have the sponges to wipe the sweat off their brows had just cleared out of the camera when they started again. And that was the one they ended up using in the film. And it was pretty incredible to read about. But yes.
I'm not even going to cut out the Jason Statham stuff. I think that's hilarious what you just did.
In a way, it fits because the Transporter Part 1 has lots of Oners in it. And it's a better movie than all the other Transporter movies.
All right.
Honestly, Transporter Part 1 is probably an honorable mention for this list.
You're cracking me up.
So
my number 2 is nonviolent too.
Okay, good.
And then we're going to get back to the violence.
My number 1 is very violent.
We're going to get back to the violence. Okay. All right, this one the movie I've seen several times.
Uh-oh. Are we gonna have two crossovers?
Never realized it was one shot.
Oh my God!
Until watching the director's cut.
Oh, maybe not.
And he says, "We did this in one shot to show this, and this," and I went, and I never
caught it.
Wow!
Tell
me.
Superman.
Christopher Reeves.
Really?
When he drops off Lois Lane. After their night,
yes.
He flies away. That is all one shot. It stays on Lois. There's a knock on the door. It's Clark Kent, and she goes over there, opens the door, and there he is. What they did is they did a quick change.
No.
While he's doing his line, Lois, Lois. Someone else is knocking for him. He's saying Lois, and they are trying desperately to get him into the suit in time.
You can't be serious.
So that she would never have known that Superman is Clark Kent after looking in his eyes for so long. So they did that scene on purpose to show, Lois, that can't be Clark because Clark is at the door.
Even if nothing else, just to give us the mental illusion of not realizing, like letting her get by with not knowing that was Clark. Wow.
And until he said that in the commentary, I freaked out. I called my brother and said, "Did you know that was one shot?" And I'm watching. It's like, it was one shot. I
can't believe that.
I never noticed that.
I watch Superman now because
it's
that's Richard Donner. That's Dick Donner.
Yes,
doing his thing.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
But he did. But it makes sense why he did that on purpose.
That would be
deliberate. It's not just a wonder for a wonder. It's a wonder to show, hey, let's try to get a quick check. But this is back in the days before CGI and stuff. You literally had to get the cape at least off of him.
Wow.
No, they had to get the shirt. I don't know how they did it. I still know how they. But he said someone else was knocking. Christopher Reeves was reading his line. Lois, but the whole time there's people trying to change him. We know what quick changes are.
Yeah, I mean, we've done that.
Unbelievable. Because she's kind of loopy because she just got kissed, and so there's a little bit of a delay, but goes right to the door. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's funny because Christopher Reeve was Juilliard trained actor, and so he's
used to this.
He's probably done all that before.
It's amazing. I mean, Christopher Reeves, an underrated actor that sadly the world will forget because he died too soon. But no one will know how awesome he was.
That's true. And I was listening to the Inside of You podcast with Michael Rosenbaum, not Inside of You, Talkville podcast, where they talk about Smallville. And I was just listening to the episode today where they review Rosetta, where Christopher Reeve shows up, and how wonderful it was to talk to him, and how he was only scheduled to be on set for like an hour or two, and then he said, "I'll give you as long as you need." And then like 8 hours later, his nurse
took him off,
threatened to call the police if he would not go. That's how much he was like, I want to stay here and get them the best coverage they can do. Because when they showed him the shot list and everything, he was like, that's kind of boring. I'm just sitting here doing whatever. And it's like, well, we know your time's limited. And he told them straight up, no, I want to give you the best possible Superman cameo you can do. It was so cool. It was everything you hoped it would be.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, very, very cool to listen to Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum talk about that.
Number 1, sir.
Number 1 is Jaws. Back to Violence.
Oh, yes. I forgot about
Jaws is packed full of Oners, and I don't know if most people notice them. I saw a lot of them when we got to see it in the movie theater last year, right?
Angles, yep.
And
what a great film.
So good. My favorite one of them all. Like, there's several moments, like whenever Richard Dreyfuss and
are exchanging scars and talking.
That's one at the end. That's at the end. That's a big one. Whenever he scratches his nails on the chalkboard and he does his whole spiel about I'll give you the tail and the whole dang thing, and that kind of thing. Yeah. That's all one long shot when he's zooming in on Quint.
Yeah, zooming in on Quint.
But us at the very beginning of the movie, even I didn't notice it until we went.
Camera.
Yes, but when we went to the movie theater, I noticed that at the beginning of the movie, when Brody and the I forget Richard Dreyfuss' scientist's name.
Yeah,
they're trying to convince the mayor, like, Mayor, Hooper. You got to close the beaches.
Yeah,
Hooper and they're trying. You got to close these beaches, and the mayor's like, no, you have the tooth. Do you actually have any proof?
Yeah,
and he's like, no, we don't, because I dropped it in the water.
Yeah,
that whole argument, it stood out to me because it's yelling and arguing and like genuine emotion, and they're just bantering and fighting back and forth with the mayor. And those lines, you can't repeat those kinds of lines precisely
with that same intensity.
With that same intensity and that same pattern and rhythm. So it makes me wonder how much of that scene was ad-libbed or how much those guys were just absolute pros. And then so that whole scene, but my absolute favorite oneer in any movie, and that I would use as an example to show to somebody, like, what do you mean a oneer? I don't understand what you're talking about. It's like, watch this shot with me. I'll show you this movie. This is why it was my number one, is because whenever they are getting onto the barge, they drive the car onto the barge so that they can take the car across, and they're still talking to the mayor, and the mayor's convincing them, is like, listen, the beaches aren't going to be closed. We're going to be open for business, and there's nothing you can do to stop this, and this is what's going to happen. And he sets himself up as the villain of the story. But they drive the car onto the barge, and then the camera just opens up right there with the dialogue, and then before you know it, they've crossed the whole freaking river or the bay.
Oh yeah, when they're on the barge,
and the whole scene is finished, but the camera never moves. The actors are the ones who move. And it's brilliantly staged because you've got the mayor and his henchmen and all of them, like, and then
you've got a time limit,
and you've got an extreme time limit
from the barge moves from one spot to the next.
Very, very precise.
Yeah,
and so you've got
I've never noticed that.
Brody's in the foreground the whole time, and then the mayor and all his cronies like gang up on him, and then all the cronies turn away and they literally turn their backs to the camera. And then it's just the mayor and his head honcho. And then they have another bit of dialogue. And then the head honcho like turns his back to the camera. And then Brody and the mayor slowly step towards the camera, and it's just the two of them. And then suddenly it's a secret conversation that only you, the audience, get to hear. And then the camera has never moved this entire time.
I've never noticed that.
It feels like 4 different complete shots.
Wow.
It is the most genius cinematography.
That's good. That's a good one. I'd never noticed that one. So again, that's why it's good.
That's my violent number one.
My violent number one is The Protector, Tony Jaa.
The Protector.
The Protector. We were watching this. There's a stairwell fight scene.
Okay.
Where he comes into the building and then goes up several spiral stairs and fights.
Do it.
And while we're watching it, me and my brother are loving it. And my brother goes, hey, do you realize this is one whole scene? And then my mouth dropped open. That was the first time I'd ever
really
noticed a oneer. And we went back. It was older, early 2000s, I want to say, or mid 2000s. I was like, shut up.
That's awesome.
And so I remember rewinding it.
What did you say the name of it? What's
The Protector.
The Protector. All right.
Yeah, staircase fight scene. I mean, it's incredible. But the thing is, though, it's choreographed fight scene. So if someone, Tony Jaa or a stuntman, messes up, you start all the way at the bottom of the staircase. And there's a big open lobby in the middle, so the camera just somehow just gets on a crane, I guess, and moves along with the action.
Can you imagine?
But it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So violent, but yet still my number one.
But I mean, I'll find that clip if nothing else.
Yeah,
on YouTube,
find the clip. Check it out. Yeah. And everyone else needs to tell us their favorite oneers, because honorable mention is, and I saw this and I was like, oh yeah, it was a good scene. The Shining.
There's my honorable mention.
Oh, where he's on the bike.
Yeah, it was on the bike.
I love that scene.
The reason that I put that as my honorable mention, because I love it in any thriller movie, because when you are on a oneer, you can't avert your eyes. Like you're stuck.
You're stuck on the ride with Danny.
Yes. Exactly.
And I love it. And also because if anyone ever rode a big wheel, the sound when he hits the carpet, then the hardwood floor, then the carpet again. I was like,
so good.
I'm there. Yeah. I feel like I am behind the wheel when he's turning and everything. I feel like I'm behind the wheel.
It's an enchanting scene.
It is so enchanting.
It's you can't take your eyes off of it.
It's so good. Mm-hmm. It's so good, and it does deserve to be in probably in someone's top 5. And like I said, I did struggle, but Old Boy was one I remember cheering a lot about. But I love that scene from The Shining. Though.
Yeah. There's several other audible mentions I could probably throw out. Like there was one from Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis, and there's this whole big speech he gives where the camera slowly zooms in over the table when Lincoln's giving this big speech to his cabinet or something like that. And I was like, I didn't like the movie that much, so I never watched it again. But Daniel Day-Lewis is a master at his craft.
He is.
But when I realized, like, dang, this is one long shot, and he got every line of that, and then I thought to myself, wow, I wonder if he had to mess up and start over a lot. And then I thought, he probably got it right every single time.
Everything.
He did it right perfectly.
He just woke up that morning, too, and got it right. That's what happened.
It must be Saturday.
Morning.
Samoflange.